People rarely realize when they are operating within their own biases. It's not that they resist new ideas on purpose, but that they don't see the limitations in their thinking. Could it be that the biggest challenge in problem solving isn't intelligence, but perspective? I've watched teams struggle with the same issues for years, not because they lacked solutions, but because they were only looking at the problem from one angle. What if real breakthroughs happen when people actively seek perspectives that challenge their own? When people work in groups, they naturally gravitate toward those who think like them. It feels comfortable, familiar, even efficient. But could it be that true innovation only happens when we step outside that comfort zone? I've seen organizations that claim to value diversity, yet dismiss ideas that don't align with their usual way of thinking. What if diversity wasn't just about representation, but about integrating different ways of seeing, analyzing, and approaching challenges? The best ideas often come from the most unexpected places, if people are willing to listen. Bias doesn't always show up as resistance. It often appears as assumption. Could it be that the most dangerous biases are the ones that go unnoticed? I've seen brilliant ideas get dismissed simply because they came from someone outside the usual decision-making circle. But when teams intentionally bring in different viewpoints, they uncover insights they wouldn't have found otherwise. What if every organization made it a habit to ask, who haven't we heard from yet? Many teams rely on past experiences to make decisions, but could it be that experience can also create blind spots? I've seen companies stick to the way things have always been done, only to struggle when circumstances change. The most forward-thinking organizations are the ones that regularly challenge their own assumptions. What if success wasn't about finding the right answer, but about continuously refining the questions? I've found that breaking biases isn't about proving people wrong. It's about expanding their thinking. Could it be that people hold on to their perspectives tightly because they've never been given the opportunity to test them? I've watched discussions shift when people ask, what if I'm wrong, instead of how do I prove I'm right? What if curiosity was built into workplace culture? The moment people become more interested in exploring possibilities than defending positions, everything changes. Some of the best problem solvers aren't the most experienced. They're the ones most open to new ways of thinking. Could it be that long-term success isn't about knowing more, but about learning better? I've seen leaders reject new ideas simply because they weren't the ones who thought of them. But I've also seen teams thrive when they make it safe to question, experiment, and evolve. What if adaptability was the most valuable skill of all? I keep coming back to this. Progress isn't about proving who's right. It's about discovering what works. Could it be that organizations limit themselves when they focus more on validating existing beliefs than on uncovering new possibilities? I've seen companies transform when they stop looking for confirmation and start looking for insight. What if breaking biases wasn't about changing minds, but about expanding them? Maybe the best teams aren't the ones who always agree, but the ones who know how to challenge each other productively. Biases aren't always intentional, but they limit how people think, collaborate, and solve problems. Could it be that the real challenge in embracing diverse thought isn't about accepting differences, but about learning how to think beyond our own mental shortcuts? A critical thinking workshop using the 5 C's and 8 D's model helps employees recognize their biases, expand their perspectives, and approach problems with a more open and structured mindset. When employees learn how to challenge assumptions and integrate diverse viewpoints, innovation becomes a natural outcome rather than a forced initiative. It starts with conceptualizing, helping employees step outside their default thinking. Many workplace challenges stem from people relying on familiar perspectives, often without realizing it. Could it be that most biases persist because people don't pause to consider the broader context? A structured thinking workshop trains employees to question assumptions, analyze issues from multiple angles, and recognize the limitations in their own viewpoints. This shift creates a foundation for more inclusive and effective problem solving. Once employees recognize their blind spots, cognizing helps them develop alternative approaches. Diverse thought isn't just about including different perspectives. It's about structuring thinking in a way that allows for multiple solutions? Could it be that people resist change not because they reject new ideas, but because they don't have a framework for evaluating them fairly? The 8 dimensions of critical thinking, 8Ds, including intuition, sensing, and perceiving, help employees break rigid thinking patterns and explore new ideas with an open, analytical approach. Comprehending deepens this process by helping employees see how biases impact decision-making. Many organizations struggle with inclusivity, not because they don't value diversity, but because their teams aren't trained to see how different perspectives interact and contribute to better solutions. Could it be that encouraging diverse thought requires more than just bringing different voices into the room? A critical thinking workshop helps employees connect ideas, see interdependencies, and understand how integrating diverse perspectives leads to stronger outcomes. True diversity of thought isn't just about recognizing differences, it's about turning them into action. This is where characterizing comes in, helping employees develop clear, structured ways to integrate diverse input into decision-making. Many companies discuss diversity but fail to implement it effectively. Could it be that structured thinking is the missing link between awareness and action? A workshop trains employees to move from abstract discussions about inclusion to practical steps that ensure diverse perspectives are embedded in daily decision-making. The final step, concluding, ensures that employees not only challenge their biases, but also refine their decision-making. Encouraging diverse thought isn't about agreeing with everyone. It's about making informed, well-balanced decisions that consider multiple perspectives. Could it be that the best decision makers aren't those who defend their views, but those who know how to integrate different viewpoints effectively? A structured thinking workshop trains employees to evaluate perspectives objectively, balance competing ideas, and reach conclusions that are both inclusive and effective. 5Cs and 8Ds model in a structured thinking workshop doesn't just help employees break biases, it reshapes how they approach decision-making, collaboration, and innovation. Could it be that the real value of diverse thought isn't in having different perspectives, but in having the skills to bring them together productively? When employees learn to question assumptions, evaluate ideas fairly, and integrate diverse viewpoints into structured solutions, organizations don't just check a diversity box, they build a culture of critical thinking, adaptability, and forward-thinking leadership.